thing you know, Paul, I mean, things are really going to go fast. As soon as you see the first one go up, then there's going to be one after another, and we expect from the moment they start to build that it's going to be half hour, 45 minutes before they produce tornadoes. That's how fast these things are going to form.
Some of the fastest development I have ever seen in central Oklahoma today. In a half hour, we went from fair weather, those puffy cumulus clouds, to a thunderstorm top near Watonga, 57,000 feet. That's more than 10 miles high. Right there to the west of Oklahoma City, nothing to just big thunderstorms. Boom!
Yeah, we got a tornado on the ground. That is definitely a large tornado on the ground.
And I was actually south of town, south of the airport, and pulled into a driveway of a house that kind of gave me a view, as best a view as I could get.
It's behind the trees again, folks. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can back up here just to get a little bit better of a view. That is a twister.
It took me a little bit to kind of realize what was going on. It was very, very difficult to see just kind of a black mass coming at me, and it was hard to tell if it was rain, hard to tell if it was the tornado.
Oh yeah, yep, there's a big tornado on the ground. Yeah, okay, yeah, call me back if you guys need anything. Thank you.
At one point I had moved up further along the driveway, and actually almost got right up in level with the house that was there.
Yep, I can see it now. I've got a cone. Again, terrible, terrible contrast.
It was like I was looking at light gray on dark gray, and every now and again I would see a white cone, white funnel, kind of rotate around from left to right in my view, and I knew then that it was a pretty big situation.
You can see it right in there.
When I was out the house, I was actually completely unaware that the people who lived there were standing on the other side of the pickup trucks. They had the storm shelter on the other side of these pickup trucks, and you can see as I pull up, and I had no idea that the homeowner was standing out there, and they were getting into their storm cellar apparently at the same time I was pulled up there next to the house.
Looks like it's coming my way. A funnel come around that big black cloud, and that's when I realized that I was looking at the tornado with another one coming at me. And I said, "No, Billy, it's here. I got to go." And at that point, I got in the cellar and shut the door and locked it down.
Coming across. Actually, you know what? That's a little closer than I like.
I wasn't up there more than a few seconds when I realized that it was much, much closer than I had given it credit for. And I kind of said, okay, I wasn't really comfortable with that, so I actually back toward the road and stopped there again for a little bit. I kind of then, that timer in your head clicks. You know, they joke in football games how a quarterback in the pocket, you know, has this timer in his head, and when it goes off, he needs to leave the pocket or throw the ball away. And that's exactly what happened with me. That timer in my head went off and said, "You need to leave now."
You know, safety's going to have to trump here. I've got RFD hitting me now, which is indicating to me the tornado's probably within a mile.
I still was not aware of the danger. I was not aware how quickly this was moving, how big it was getting, and how close it was to me at this point. And my first clue should have been when the cop blew by me at Mach 2. And I got in on the road behind him and didn't have any sense of urgency. I got up to speed, and the cop obviously was you know, the next state away at this point, and I was the last vehicle coming down that road, where the cop was the last vehicle coming down the road, so I ended up being the last car out of there.
He barely got the bolts locked.
Yeah.
And we stood there for it seemed like just a few seconds. We were just kind of like this. Like, I knew when he got in the cellar, we were in trouble. And then all of a sudden, you know, it just hit us, and I jumped grabbed my arms around his neck and my legs around him like this, and I'm screaming bloody murder, and he's got his thumbs in his ears, and it just lasted forever. I mean, forever. It sounded like thrashing metal. It just, wham, it was on us, and it lasted forever, it felt like.
And pretty well total destruction. This is unbelievable.
Hello?
This is what we came out of the cellar to. Unbelievable. The garage was in the living room. What was left of the garage was piled in the living room, and the whole north side of the house was gone. There was one wall on the north side, on the south side that was standing, and maybe because the chimney was holding it up, but maybe not.
I probably missed the tornado by about 45 seconds, and you know, you look at the house when I pull up next to it, and then you see what happened to the house. I mean, seconds after I left, it really scares the hell out of you, because I had no idea that it was that close.
So I went home and turned on the news, and sure enough, they've got a helicopter that is filming this outbreak live in front of my very eyes.
The news was starting to break that other chasers had been hit. I had heard pretty immediately that the Weather Channel crew had been hit.
Chris, kind of our worst nightmare. We were hit by the tornado. We were racing to get out of its path. It was coming right toward us. I got to tell you, my life flashed before my eyes.
And I was hearing that several other people I knew had been hit by this tornado.
You okay? Yeah. You're fine. Don't move. Sit down. Duck down. Duck down.
And I was finding a lot of this out through internet means, social media, messaging, that kind of stuff, because the phones weren't working, the cell phones weren't working. I couldn't get a call in or out, or I couldn't get a text message in and out, but my data, the internet card I had, was working still.
There it is.
Oh
And
my.
wow, wow, and they're all okay.
It was the most surreal thing. Sitting there watching this live unfold on TV, I knew Tony was out there somewhere.
What then occurred to me was my mother is not on social media. She doesn't have Facebook, she doesn't have internet, and had no way of knowing if I was okay. And I wasn't sure if she had tried to call or text at any point, but I know that she was watching and probably was seeing the reports of all these chasers being hit, and I'm thinking, you know, I need to get a hold of my mom.
I didn't want to call him because I knew he had his hands full, but I did send him a text and just, OMG, I wanted him to know that I was monitoring what was going on, and I was concerned. Of course, he knew I would be.
The best thing I could think of was get on one of these chat programs and try to find somebody who was online. And my friend Deidre responded immediately, and I gave her my mom's number, and I told her to call my mom and let her know that I was okay.
As this all developed, didn't hear back from him, and I got a phone call. And this was late at night. It was probably maybe 9:30, 10. Didn't recognize the number on the phone. Usually I would not pick that up, but I did. And it was Deidre, a friend of Tony's. And she said, Tony can't get a line out, but he wanted me to contact you and let me know that he was okay. And immediately I was afraid that he wasn't okay. He had never done that before. So to not have been in direct contact with him yet, and then to get a message from a second party that Tony was trying to get a hold of me to let me know he was okay, that was kind of concerning for me, but I knew at that point he was.
Unfortunately, though, not everybody made it out okay.
And you may have heard 3 veteran storm chasers were killed by the tornado in Oklahoma.
Tim and his team did not survive. Tim was found seatbelted in his car. The others apparently pulled from the car by the tornado.
I heard the initial reports that Tim, Paul, and Carl had been killed in that tornado. It was completely devastating news. I've been chasing with these guys for years and years, and you know, in addition to being teammates and fellow researchers, they were friends. And I've never lost a friend before like this, let alone 3. The car they were in was the same car that I drove for the Discovery Channel. I'd spent years in that car, and had I not moved to Illinois 3 months earlier, I might have been in that car with them that day. You know, I look back at my escape and the choice I made when I did, and how easily that could have been me even there in the driveway. It makes me so grateful that I'm still here, that for me, almost on 2 accounts, I got away alive. That I made the choice when I did, and that I was not in that same car with them that day. I remember the last interview I did before everything calmed down was for CNN, and that was the question that I got on air was what to do next. And you know, I kind of knew in my mind that, you know, I'm not sure really, but he's not going to want me to stop over this.
Tony, you've obviously been a seasoned storm chaser for a long time. Will this put you off? Have you guys talked about this as potentially a reason not to continue?
It hasn't sprung from my mind for a second to give up chasing. I know if I did that, Tim would come down and beat me with my tripod if I quit over this. So we will be back out there and hope we can continue in some aspect the work that they have left behind.
There was never a second in my mind where I thought I was going to quit chasing over this. I've joked on many interviews that I've done that Tim would come down and just relentlessly beat me with my equipment if I quit over this. There's no doubt in my mind I'm going to continue to be out there. And it's simply because it's what I do. It's what I've done my whole life. You know, people ask me all the time, why do you chase? Why do you subject yourself to the dangers? Why do you drive thousands and thousands of miles to pursue something that you may only see for a few minutes, if you see it at all? And the answer is the anticipation, the desire to just be out there. It's an ultimate freedom for me to be on the road and to have no destination, to literally go where the wind takes you. And you can't compare that to anything. You know, it's not always about the incredible tornadoes. It's not always about the insanely large hail. It's not always about being on TV. It's about the adventure. It's about just being out there with nature and experiencing things that most people will never experience in their entire lives. And every single time I go out there, I have the anticipation of knowing that I may be experiencing something all over again for the first time. And until that passion goes away, I can't see myself doing anything else except for chasing. And I don't see that passion going anywhere anytime soon.